the larger Sukhavativyuha Sutra. Preface. Thus have I heard. At one time the Buddha was staying on the vulture peak of Raja Griha with a large company of 12,000 monks. They were all great sages who had already attained supernatural powers. Among them were the following: the Venerable Ajnata Kaundinya, the Venerable Ashvajit, the Venerable Vaspa, the Venerable Mahanama, the Venerable Bhadrajit, the Venerable Vimala, the Venerable Yashodeva, the Venerable Subahu, the Venerable Purnaka, the Venerable Gavampati, the Venerable Uruvilva Kashyapa, the Venerable Gaya Kashyapa, the Venerable Nadi Kashyapa, the Venerable Maha Kashyapa, the Venerable Shariputra, the Venerable Maha Maudgalyayana, the Venerable Kapina, the Venerable Maha Kaustilya, the Venerable Maha Katyayana, the Venerable Mahakunda, the Venerable Purna Maitra Yaniputra, the Venerable Aniruddha, the Venerable Revata, the Venerable Kimpila, the Venerable Amoga Raja, the Venerable Parayanika, the Venerable Vakula, the Venerable Nanda, the Venerable Svagata, the Venerable Rahula, and the Venerable Ananda. All of these were elders. Mahayana bodhisattvas also accompanied the Buddha, including all those of this auspicious kalpa, such as the Bodhisattva Samantabhadra, the Bodhisattva Maujushri, and the Bodhisattva Maitreya. There were also the 16 lay bodhisattvas, such as Bhadrapala, as well as the Bodhisattva Profound Thought, the Bodhisattva Wisdom of Faith, the Bodhisattva Voidness, the Bodhisattva Bloom of Supernatural Power, the Bodhisattva Hero of Light, the Bodhisattva Superior Wisdom, the Bodhisattva Banner of Wisdom, the Bodhisattva Tranquil Ability, the Bodhisattva Wisdom of Vows, the Bodhisattva Sweet-Smelling Elephant, the Bodhisattva Hero of Treasures, the Bodhisattva Dwelling in the Center, the Bodhisattva Practice of Restraint, and the Bodhisattva Emancipation. Virtues of the Bodhisattva Audience. Each of these bodhisattvas, following the virtues of the Mahasattva Samantabhadra, is endowed with the immeasurable practices and vows of the Bodhisattva path, and firmly dwells in all the meritorious deeds. He freely travels in all the 10 quarters and employs skillful means of emancipation. He enters the treasury of the Dharma of the Buddhas and reaches the other shore. Throughout the innumerable worlds, he attains enlightenment. First dwelling in the Tusita heaven, he proclaims the true Dharma. Having left the heavenly palace, he descends into his mother's womb. Soon after, he is born from her right side. He takes 7 steps. As he does so, An effulgence illuminates everywhere in the 10 quarters, and innumerable Buddha lands shake in 6 ways. Then he utters these words: I will become the most honored one in the world. Shakra and Brahma reverently attend him, and heavenly beings adore and worship him. He shows his ability in calculation, writing, archery, and horsemanship. He is also conversant with the divine arts and well read in many volumes. In the field outside the palace he trains himself in the martial arts, and at court shows that he also enjoys the pleasures of the senses. When he first encounters old age, sickness, and death, he realizes the impermanence of the world. He renounces his kingdom, wealth, and throne, and goes into the mountains to practice the way. After sending back the white horse that he has been riding, together with the jeweled crown and ornaments which he has been wearing, he takes off his magnificent clothes and puts on a Dharma robe. He cuts his hair and shaves his beard, sits upright under a tree, and strives at ascetic practices for 6 years in accord with the traditional way. Since he has appeared in the world of the 5 defilements, he behaves as the multitude, and as his body appears dirty, he takes a bath in the golden river. As a god bends a branch down towards him, he is able to climb up the river bank. A divine bird follows him closely to the seat of enlightenment. A deva takes the form of a youth and, perceiving a favorable sign, respectfully presents him with the auspicious grass. The bodhisattva compassionately accepts it, spreads it under the Bodhi tree, and sits upon it with his legs crossed. He emits a great flood of light to inform Mara of his. Mara and his army come to attack and tempt him, but he brings them under control with the power of wisdom and makes them all surrender. Then he attains the supreme Dharma and realizes the highest perfect enlightenment. As Shakra and Brahma request him to turn the wheel of the Dharma, the Buddha visits various places and preaches the Dharma in his thunderous voice. He beats the Dharma drum, blows the Dharma conch, brandishes the Dharma sword, hoists the Dharma banner, rolls the Dharma thunder, hurls the Dharma lightning, brings the Dharma rain, and bestows the Dharma gift. At all times he awakens the world with the sound of the Dharma. His light illuminates countless Buddha lands, causing the entire world to quake in 6 ways. It encompasses Mara's realm, shaking his palace so that he and his host become frightened and surrender. The Bodhisattva tears asunder the net of evil, destroys wrong views, removes afflictions, flushes the gutter of desire, protects the Dharma castle, opens the Dharma gate, washes off the grime of the passions, and reveals the pure white Dharma. He unifies everything in the Buddha Dharma, and thus proclaims the right teaching. He enters the town to beg alms. He accepts even rich food to enable the donors to accumulate merit, and also to show that he is a field of virtue. Wishing to expound the Dharma, he smiles and so cures the 3 pains with various Dharma medicines. He teaches that the aspiration for enlightenment has immeasurable merit, and, by giving predictions to bodhisattvas, he enables them to attain Buddhahood. He demonstrates that he passes into nirvana, but endlessly brings sentient beings to emancipation, in removing their defilements, planting various roots of virtue, and attaining excellent merit. He displays wonderful and inconceivable works. Furthermore, each of the bodhisattvas in the assembly is able to visit various Buddha lands and expound teachings of the way. His manner of practice is pure and undefiled, just as a magician, with his perfect skill, can create at will various illusions, including images of men or women, at will, so the bodhisattva, having thoroughly learned all the methods of emancipation and attained serene awareness of reality, can freely teach and transform beings. He manifests himself everywhere, in innumerable Buddha lands, performing acts of compassion for sentient beings, tirelessly and with diligence. He has thus obtained complete mastery of such methods of emancipation. He is thoroughly conversant with the essentials of the Sutras for Bodhisattvas, and, as his fame spreads everywhere, he guides sentient beings throughout the 10 quarters. All Buddhas remember him and give him their protection. He has already dwelt in all the Buddha's abodes and performed all the deeds of the great sage. He proclaims the Tathagata's teachings, acts as a great master for other bodhisattvas, and, with profound samadhi and wisdom, guides multitudes of beings. With penetrating insight into the essential nature of dharmas, he discerns different aspects of living beings and closely watches over all the worlds. In making offerings to the Buddhas, he manifests transformed bodies like flashes of lightning. Having well learned the extensive wisdom of fearless and having realized the illusory nature of dharmas, he destroys Mara's nets and unties all the bonds of passion. He rises above the stages of Shravakas and Pratyeka Buddhas and attains the samadhis of emptiness, non-form, and non-desire. He skillfully provides expedient means and thus reveals 3 distinct teachings. Then, for those of the middle and lower stages, he demonstrates his passing into nirvana, but in reality he is non-active and non-acquisitive, and being aware that dharmas in themselves neither arise nor perish, he realizes that they are of absolute equality. He has attained innumerable dharanis, 100,000 samadhis, and various kinds of spiritual faculties and wisdom. With a meditation of vast and universal tranquility, he enters deeply into the Dharma treasury for bodhisattvas. After attaining the Buddha garland samadhi, he proclaims and expounds all the sutras. While dwelling deep in meditation, he visualizes all the innumerable Buddhas and in an instant visits every one of them. By elucidating and teaching the ultimate truth to sentient beings, he delivers them from the state of extreme pains, from the conditions in which suffering is so great as to prevent people from finding time for Buddhist practices, and also from the conditions in which suffering is not so great as to prevent them from doing so. Having attained the Tathagata's thorough knowledge and eloquence, he has fluent command of languages, with which he enlightens all beings. He is above all worldly affairs, and his mind, always serene, dwells on the path of emancipation. This gives him complete control over all dharmas. Without being asked to do so, he becomes a good friend to each of the multitude of beings and carries their heavy karmic burdens on his back. He upholds the Tathagata's profound Dharma treasury and protects the seeds of Buddhahood, so that they may continue to multiply. Having awakened great compassion for sentient beings, he kindly expounds the teaching, and endows them with the Dharma eye. He blocks the path to the three evil realms, opens the gate of virtue, and, without waiting for their request, provides beings with the Dharma. He does this for the multitude of beings, just as a dutiful son loves and respects his parents. He indeed looks upon sentient beings as his own self. With such roots of virtue, all the bodhisattvas in the assembly had reached the shore of emancipation. They had acquired the Buddha's immeasurable merit and attained the sacred, pure, and inconceivable wisdom. Innumerable bodhisattvas, mahasattvas, such as these assembled there all at once. Glorious features of the Buddha. At that time all the senses of the world-honored one radiated joy. His entire body appeared serene and glorious, and his august countenance looked most majestic. Having perceived the Buddha's holy intention, the venerable Ananda rose from his seat, bared his right shoulder, prostrated himself, and, joining his palms in reverence, said to the Buddha, "World-honored one, today all your senses are radiant with joy. Your body is serene and glorious, and your august countenance is as majestic as a clear mirror whose brightness radiates outward and inward. The magnificence of your dignified appearance is unsurpassed and beyond measure. I have never seen you look so superb and majestic as today. With respect, great sage, this thought has occurred to me. Today the world-honored one dwells in the rare and marvelous Dharma. Today the world hero dwells in the Buddha's abode. Today the world eye concentrates on the performance of the leader's duty. Today the world valiant one dwells in the supreme Bodhi. Today the one most honored in heaven realizes the Tathagata's virtue. The Buddhas of the past, present, and future contemplate each other. How can this present Buddha not contemplate all other Buddhas? For what reason does his countenance look so majestic and brilliant?" Then the world-honored one said to Ananda, "Tell me, Ananda, whether some god urged you to put this question to the Buddha, or whether you asked about his glorious countenance from your own wise observation?" Ananda replied to the Buddha, "No god came to prompt me. I asked you about this matter of my own accord." The Buddha said, "Well said, Ananda. I am very pleased with your question. You have shown profound wisdom and subtle insight in asking me this wise question out of compassion for sentient beings. As the Tathagata, I regard beings of the three worlds with boundless great compassion. The reason for my appearance in the world is to reveal teachings of the way and save multitudes of beings by endowing them with true benefits. Even in countless millions of kalpas, it is difficult to come upon and meet a Tathagata. It is as difficult as seeing an Udumbara flower, which blooms very rarely. Your question is of great benefit, and will enlighten all heavenly and human beings. Ananda, you should realize that the Tathagata's perfectly enlightened wisdom is unfathomable, capable of leading innumerable beings to emancipation, and that his penetrating insight cannot be obstructed. With just one meal, he is able to live for 100,000 kotis of kalpas, or an incalculable and immeasurable length of time, or beyond. Even after that lapse of time, his senses will still be radiant with joy and show no signs of deterioration. His appearance will not change, and his august countenance will look just the same. The reason for this is that the Tathagata's meditation and wisdom are perfect and boundless, and that he has attained unrestricted power over all dharmas. Ananda, listen carefully. I shall now expound the dharmas. Ananda replied, Yes, I will. With joy in my heart, I wish to hear the Dharma. The Buddha said to Ananda, In the distant past, innumerable, incalculable, and inconceivable kalpas ago, a Tathagata named Dipankara appeared in the world. Having taught and freed innumerable beings and led them all along the path of enlightenment, he passed into nirvana. Next appeared a Tathagata named Far-Reaching Light. After him came Moonlight, and then Sandalwood Incense, King of beautiful mountains, crown of Mount Sumeru, brilliant like Mount Sumeru, color of the moon, right recollection, free of defilement, non-attachment, dragon Deva, nocturnal light, peaceful and brilliant peak, immovable ground, exquisite beryl flower, golden beryl luster, gold treasury, flaming light, fiery origin, earth-shaking, image of the moon, sound of the sun, flower of freedom, glorious light, miraculous power of the ocean of enlightenment, water light, great fragrance, free of dust and defilement, abandoning amity, flame and jewels, beautiful peak, heroic stance, merit possessing wisdom, outshining the sun and the moon, beryl light of the sun and the moon, supreme beryl light, highest peak, flower of enlightenment, brightness of the moon, sunlight, king of the colors of flowers, moonlight on the water, dispelling the darkness of ignorance, practice of removing hindrances, pure faith, storage of good, majestic glory, wisdom of the Dharma, call of the phoenix, roar of the lion, voice of the dragon and dwelling in the world. All these Buddhas have already passed into nirvana. Lokeshvara Raja Buddha and Dharmakara. Then appeared a Buddha named Lokeshvara Raja, the Tathagata, Arhat, perfectly enlightened one, possessed of wisdom and practice, perfected one, knower of the world, unsurpassed one, tamer of man, master of God and man, Buddha and world-honored one. At that time there was a king who, having heard the Buddha's exposition of the Dharma, rejoiced in his heart and awakened aspiration for the highest perfect enlightenment. He renounced his kingdom and throne and became a monk named Dharmakara. Having superior intelligence, courage, and wisdom, he distinguished himself in the world. He went to see the Tathagata. Lokeshvara Raja knelt down at his feet, walked round him 3 times, keeping him always on his right, prostrated himself on the ground, and putting his palms together in worship, praised the Buddha with these verses. Sanbutsuge, verses praising the Buddha. The shining face of the Buddha is glorious. Boundless is his magnificence. Radiant splendor such as his is beyond all comparison. The sun, the moon, and the many jewel, though shining with dazzling brightness, are completely dimmed and obscured as if they were a pile of ink sticks. The countenance of the Tathagata is beyond compare in the whole world. The great voice of the Enlightened One resounds throughout the 10 regions. His morality, learning, endeavor, absorption in meditation, wisdom, and magnificent virtues have no equal. They are wonderful and unsurpassed. He meditates deeply and directly on the oceanic Dharma of all the Buddhas. He knows its depth and breadth and penetrates to its farthest end. Ignorance, greed, and anger are forever absent in the world-honored one. He is the lion, the most valiant of all men. His glorious virtue is unlimited. His meritorious achievements are vast. His wisdom is deep and sublime. His light, with awe-inspiring glory, shakes the universe of 1,000,000,000 worlds. I resolve to become a Buddha, equal in attainment to you, O Holy King of the Dharma, to save living beings from birth and death, and to lead them all to emancipation. My discipline is giving, mind control, moral virtues, forbearance and effort, and also in meditation and wisdom, shall be supreme and unsurpassed. I vow that, when I have become a Buddha, I shall carry out this promise everywhere, and to all fear-ridden beings shall I give great peace. Even though there are Buddhas, 1,000,000,000 kotis in number, and multitudes of great sages, countless as the sands of the Ganges, I shall make offerings to all those Buddhas. I shall seek the supreme way, resolutely and tirelessly. Even though the Buddha lands are as innumerable as the sands of the Ganges, and other regions and worlds are also without number, my light shall shine everywhere, pervading all those lands. Such being the result of my efforts, my glorious power shall be immeasurable. When I have become a Buddha, my land shall be most exquisite, and its people wonderful and unexcelled. The seat of enlightenment shall be supreme. My land, being like Nirvana itself, shall be beyond comparison. I take pity on living beings and resolve to save them all. Those who come from the 10 quarters shall find joy and serenity of heart. Then they reach my land. They shall dwell in peace and happiness. I beg you, the Buddha, to become my witness and to vouch for the truth of my aspiration. Having now made my vows to you, I will strive to fulfill them. The world-honored ones in the 10 quarters have unimpeded wisdom. I call upon those honored ones to bear witness to my intention, even though I must remain in a state of extreme pain. I will diligently practice, enduring all hardships with tireless vigor.